Your build sucks in Wizard of Legend 2, or maybe you have no idea what you're putting together and you're just going through the motions. I'm Veedotme. I've spent a lot of time in this game and other action roguelikes, and today I want to give you a breakdown of how I made 2 giga-busted builds in Wizard of Legend, and my hope is you can take that knowledge and put it towards your own runs and making you the next Wizard of Legend. This is part of a series of sponsored guides from our partners over at Humble Games. Big shoutouts to them for helping us get you the guides that you need to get better at the game. Anytime we start with anything for Wizard of Legend 2, it all starts off at the Medallion Mirror. I know that I'm playing Earth Arcana on this run, so I know we're going to be unsafe in the very beginning. What that means is we're going to pick up Fall, which is going to help with survivability. It reduces our max HP, which sounds counterproductive, but after 5 seconds of not taking any damage, I start rapidly regenerating. And it's actually pretty strong. Nazradine allows us to edit the trial a little bit. We're getting bonus money when we enter. It's 180 bucks, but we're also going to reduce the prices of the shop so that our gold goes a little bit further. My starting spells are the air melee, the seismic kick, and then the tremor stomp, I believe it's called. These are very unsafe to use. In fact, the first time I find a monster, I instantly get hit by it. In a more difficult exchange, you can see the power of layering the spells properly. Sometimes I even just wait out for when I have my tremor up. I'm not over here trying to spam my basic attack because we know there's too many targets and they're all fortified with armor, so there's no way I'm going to actually land anything. The signature spell does have a pretty good effect. It gives you full iframes and it does like 3 kicks that are AoE. You can kind of move forward when you do it, so it's really not that bad, but it's not something that I like to do the regular spell for. The result is a relic altar. Inside, we actually happen to have the earth enhancing Gaia shovel. Gaia shovel increases 15% all damage done with earth. Very easy for us to pick this up if we want to go full earth. And now that we found the exit, it's time to go back for that enhancement crystal. Our reward is attack speed on the basic attack, fracture on Terra Ring, apparently that's what it's called, and critical damage on Stone Strike Kick. Now that 70% critical damage, that is a massive number, but I already don't like Stone Strike Kick right now. In our first spell shop, we find Impaling Drill. As I said, I don't really like the kick because it makes me a little vulnerable. So we're going to take Impaling Drill, which is going to be a ranged attack. It's not listed as projectile, but it does fire out like a projectile. And it has the extra benefit of 10% cooldown reduction, so I can do it more often. This is how it looks like. It is a single target drill, just enough to keep a monster at bay, stop them from attacking me. And then hopefully the signature spell is going to be even better than the one we had before. Impaling Drill is a single target spell, just enough to lock one monster down before it does any damage to me, which I do think is better than the kick I had earlier. But I still feel relatively unsafe, even in a fight like this where I fight one big golem and then some kind of like summoning totem. I still like to layer both my signature with the Terra Ring, make sure they get the fracture on top of them. We now have our first relic NPC. We have Clover Ring, Djinn Hand, Berserker King Sandwich, Executioner's Axe, and Rogue Dagger. There's a lot of good options here. Let's save for a bit just in case something happens. We do have a couple more objectives on the map, including a Chaos Gate and a chest which happens to give us Tiny Spirit Doll. Now this is not a scripted run, but now we're getting our max HP back thanks to running Earth spells. This is why you can't always be afraid to dunk your HP down because the game gives you lots of ways to get it back. So now that we've cleared the map, we can go back to the shop. I don't think I want Berserker King Sandwich because I already heal based on the medallion I have equipped. So that means we're able to get something like Executioner's Axe, which is going to give us more damage on our standard Arcana. Well, back in the Arcana shop, she's selling 2 wind spells. One is Wild Tornado and the other is Dragon Defense. I know for a fact that Wild Tornado will move monsters, so I'm actually going to pick this up in the event that I can use this to activate my Fracture. If you don't know what Fracture does, it's a debuff that's really all about Earth. If an enemy has the debuff, it'll take damage whenever it takes a step. If you have something like Earth or Air Arcana that typically pushes monsters, they'll be taking damage while being pushed. My reward, a bunch of health that I can't do anything with. Alright, so on to our first boss. This is the ice or water elemental. I guess it's water because water makes ice and ice doesn't necessarily make water. I find this fight to be the easiest of the elementals, where lightning's probably the hardest one. What's really nice about this is that I can tag her with Terra Ring, which gives her fracture, and whenever she walks around, she actually takes damage. Another really cool detail here is that once you break the stagger bar on elementals, they'll actually get airborne status thanks to things like tornado. So when you think that the statuses don't really matter here, they do once you actually break it. So there you see a little bit of a pickup. We get as much of our combo out. I even have to resort to using my basic attack. I did take some damage here, but so long as I do a couple of dodges, I do start regenning. I wouldn't be surprised if I've regen 10, maybe 15 HP in this fight. Get the kill. Of course, our Executioner's Axe does nothing here, but we still do a lot of base damage, including extra damage from Fracture.
Can go from tranquil to tempestuous in a heartbeat.
The reward from the boss is a choice between upgraded Tornado, upgraded Drill, and upgraded Basic Attack. Now, we already know we're not doing the Basic Attack at all. Fierce Tornado has 2 charges on it, and is more effective against bigger targets. Honestly, I have no idea what that means. Kinetic Drill actually makes you launch forward with the drill and adds a second charge to it. However, for our purposes, we're gonna take the second Tornado. Remember, we have the Fracture. If we can apply Fracture and keep the monster moving, then it's gonna be taking a lot of damage. Let's see how this looks. So basic room, apply our Fracture, move the monsters around with Tornado. What's even nice right now is that the Tornado is actually really effective at monsters with armor. I really don't have to fear getting retaliated from some of this stuff because I can simply toss out a Tornado. I can even attack them while they're in the Tornado. In the Chaos Gate, we have these bouncy balls, which are really difficult to fight if you're a melee player. Here, I can just drop a Tornado, use my Fracture whenever it's safe to do so, and then by the time I do that, the Tornado's already back up. You can already kind of start to see the idea we have in mind here. I do end up taking a lot of damage in this fight, but remember, we have healing in the kit. If we really wanted to, we could just stand still and get our HP back without having to worry about fighting anything. In the Cursed Relic shop, we have a choice between damage reduced but scales with our kill counter. Every time we die, we revive by removing one of our Arcana. Increase melee damage but reduce projectile damage. Reduce our basic attack damage, but our standard Arcana has a reduced cooldown. Or the opposite of that, increase the basic attack damage while all of our other standard Arcana is on cooldown. Now, I already said multiple times, we're not pressing the basic attack button. So I'm gonna take Curse of the Magi. Just make sure you do not press the square or X button on Xbox button at all. We come across the Frog NPC. This one allows you to trade in an Arcana for another one. We already know we're not using our basic. There are 2 Earth options, which we happen to hit one of them, which again is giving us max HP. We do not care which Earth Arcana it is, so long as it is Earth, we can replace our basic air melee. This is another enhancement crystal. It's actually really good for us to take this now, even though we're missing 1 Arcana slot. Chances are, if we get any upgrades to anything but my basic, I'll probably want it. The monsters suck. Multiple golems and whatever this totem looking thing is. However, the power of Tornado is very good at keeping the golems at bay, and the drill is actually not that bad either at making sure that they stay in one spot. The reward, damage to bosses, damage to undamaged we don't care about. So we'll grab damage to bosses, very easy to pick that up. 30%, that's actually a pretty good number. Alright, typically at the edge of the biome you have 2 shops at the end. From the Arcana shop, we have Dragon Dive. That's actually Earth Arcana, 10% crit chance, not that bad. Out of these choices, we're guaranteed to get Dragon Dive. That's max HP. We're now up to 133. And then I'll go ahead and pick up the regular 10% damage up. I know it doesn't sound like a lot right now, but as you begin to stack up these 10% here and there, eventually you're gonna get up to like 50% bonus damage, 60, 70% bonus damage. We enter the first boss arena. Remember, we started off at 60 HP, and we have effectively doubled that to 133. You can already see the fracture at work, doing actually a massive amount of damage, almost more than what the spell itself is doing. This boss is relatively simple. You have to dodge 3 hits, and then you get to do your combo back. Once you break that poise meter, you get a nice little juggle with the tornado. I did take some hits, but you can already see I'm starting to heal that back up. This thing does hurt, just to say that. But so long as we take like really good phases of no damage taken, and utilizing our iframes with the ultimate signature, it's really easy to get our health back. As long as we don't like just face tank every single thing we see. All right, the boss has me all the way down into the 30s. We get our ultimate up, break the poise, get the knock up, and there we go. I guess one disadvantage I have in this fight in particular is that with the knock up, I'm actually not getting a ton of use from our fracture, because I don't think the monster's actually moving. However, I did see a couple of 4s in there, so maybe it is doing something. After the first boss, you're offered a choice between either max HP or healing. We know for a fact we're not going healing because we already have that. So let's go ahead and take the max HP. 95 is a fantastic number. So now we're up to 200 plus HP coming from 60. In the next biome, we have some really nasty monsters to worry about, including ones that cannot be knocked up with tornado. However, anytime you see a monster, period, just press the tornado button anyway. Don't worry if it's like a worm or something that's underground and can't be moved, because that doesn't matter. Another enhancement crystal. More cooldown reduction on the drill. More damage to bosses and pretty big critical damage. And then, of course, Knuckles we don't even look at. So we're going to boost up that wild tornado. This is turning into a real DPS spell. All right, here's our first major opponent. This is basically a mini boss. It doesn't seem to move very much. Even with Dragon Dive, it's not moving at all. We are getting some benefit from Fracture. I can see a little bit of that damage coming in. Even the ultimate drill doesn't really do anything to it. So this is more like a fight of attrition, I would say. It can't really hurt me. I can hurt it, but it's still gonna take a little while because our major DPS, which is the Fracture, isn't really getting utilized here. Nothing we can do about that from a guide standpoint. Nothing you can really do about that either. Just don't get fooled into thinking you have to play the monster's game. Just keep playing your game. The reward from that is another relic, move speed, revenge gives us evasion, or Berserker King sandwich, which again, I didn't necessarily need this, but if it's showing up for free, why not take it? I'd say Berserker King sandwich is probably in the S tier. One of the best relics in the game. Here's a couple more evil monsters. However, this is where I kind of start to see the Rashid gameplay for my Street Fighter players out there. We can almost infinitely juggle these monsters with the tornadoes. The cooldown is just good enough that by the time one tornado's done, the other one is ready again. And then we can do things like Terra Ring and Dragon Dive to keep the monster even more at bay. And if all of that fails, we have the drill, especially the ultimate version, to stop the monster from doing anything. All right, Earth Elemental. As you see, I only have $100. I had to leave the last area without actually getting anything from the shops. It's very unfortunate. I'd say the Earth Elemental's the second hardest one. The attacks are relatively easy to dodge, but he hurts like really, really badly. And you can get wombo comboed by this too. So we're doing the same gameplay. Luckily, he does move quite a bit, so the Fracture does work. Once we get the poise break, Tornado sends them to the edge of the arena. That's pretty good. If I had Fracture up, that would have done so much damage. Maybe the real key here is to just get the poise break, keep Fracture on deck until that happens, and then spam Tornado. So there's the break, knock back. Yeah, see, like, he does actually a lot of damage. Luckily enough, with the mix between the innate healing plus berserking sandwich, I actually became really tanky from someone who had 60 HP. All right, you're out of here. Forgotten Arcana variants, we have Ultimate Terror Ring. Dragon Ride, this one does the dragon dive, except you're like on top of it. And then again, the second use of Kinetic Drill. I've never done the Ultimate Terror Ring before, and to be honest, as cool as the drill is, I think it's really just a glorified version of the original drill. Maybe we can see the ultimate version of Terror Ring. Maybe the Fracture is going to be even better. I don't really know what it could possibly do, but I assume it's going to be better than the drill. Random Wizard Gang. This is defeat enemies without getting hit. I can't do this. Like, even with the Tornado, I'm going to assume I will get hit by this. Ooh, here's our ulti. Then you get to do the Tornado again after? Wow. I don't usually get that because a lot of times, especially with armored enemies, the monsters always do something to hit you. Heading into the Chaos Gate, I really don't like the setup of this. It's very difficult for my build in particular to work with all of these gaps. Luckily, the Tornado goes over the gap, but the real issue here is that, like, for me to use my Terror Ring, I have to get on top of the flower. I'll probably get tagged in the process. Relic Shop, we have Summon a Pet. Damage reduction increases with kill counter. Melee crits are tripled. I don't think I have a lot of melee. Everyone's faster. And then decrease crit rate until you actually land one. Out of all of this, I can't say for sure that I know that move speed helps out the Fracture. This is experimental. Out of all of those options, like, this is the least dangerous one for me to pick up. And I would like to say that this has relatively zero impact on the build. If anything, it will hopefully make the build better. All right, this is probably our last Arcana enhancer. Let's see what we can do here. We have Tornadoes. As I said, you can't really do much against the worm, even though that does seem to knock the worm upward. Yeah, okay, so worms can't be knocked up. It looks like they can't be moved, which is the most important part. I did see some Fracture damage, though. More cooldown reduction. Damage to afflicted enemies. Get this Earth Knuckle out of here. And then even more cooldown reduction on the drill. With the Arcana shop, there's only one thing in here that's Earth, which is Fissure Slam. I'm not really a big fan of Fissure Slam in general, so I'm gonna pass by it, especially for the fight we're about to have. Let's go ahead and grab that Spirit Leaf. We know for a fact that's something we can use. And then I guess I'll take the Thick Fit Vest. It's kind of hard to say that. It's not nothing. Oh, maybe it is nothing. I think my kill count reset by going to the next area. All right, that's fine. It's tax for getting here. All right, so final boss. We know Jabara moves a lot, so Fracture will work. The rest of my kit, I don't know. Oh, wow. So see all of those sixes? That was probably more damage than the actual spell itself does. That's where probably half of our DPS is coming in. The Tornadoes are doing a decent amount of damage. Really what I need is to break that poise. All right, so there we go, broken. Lift her up. She's kind of going to the edge. Layer this as much as I can. Multi-slams that absolutely miss, and she almost went off the map. We were playing Smash Brothers. We were gonna spike her just now. Okay. All right, dodge the laser beams. This one can be kind of difficult too. It's almost like you're playing DDR here. Just focus on dodging. Again, you can get wombo comboed, which is very dangerous, but we do have stuff like Berserking Sandwich and the innate healing from that medallion. Don't forget about that. All right, we're coming up on the next poise break. Missed my fracture because she does push herself backwards, but cooldown reduction's really good. Look at the layering of the tornadoes. Oh, I pressed the... Was the drill better? I don't think the drill's better because the trimmer gets like multiple knockups. All right, DDR. She's even taking damage during DDR. That's so good. Any other build besides burn, I guess, would have to wait for that to be done. Notice how I don't use my basic attack literally at all. I think if I were to press the square button, it's actually a throw. And there we go. Easy boss defeated. Lots of self-damage thanks to fracture. And then layering the tornadoes along with the ultimate terror ring to keep the monster like permanently in the air. That is some really, really good gameplay. But that's not all the gameplay you can do in Wizard of Legend. Remember, this is just a taste, especially because it's just early access, of what you can do, but I have even more I can show you. And once again, it all begins at the mirror. Okay, so let's start off with something a little different here. I'm gonna take the critical medallion, gives you 10% crit chance along with critical damage. And we'll see if we can start to scale up for some like really, really big hits. In this run, I'm gonna try out the slow all enemies by 20%. I don't exactly know how this looks in terms of like comparing it to my first run. However, I don't really want to do any kind of like enhanced Arcana. I don't know what the build's gonna be just yet. All I know is that we're gonna look at some critical damage. Now this is utilizing Blizzard, the Lightning Twin Dragon, the Lightning Melee attack. I'd say all of these are very strong Arcana. They don't necessarily have a lot of synergy between each other. I'd also like to say that the ultimate on Twin Dragon's probably one of the best signatures in the entire game. It does a massive hit around you, and then lightning strikes downward on monsters. Why those didn't hit anything, I have no idea, because I clearly had stuff it could target. However, let's go charge it again, press it, boom. That's how it's supposed to look. Here's our first relic. We have Cloud Armor, Dragon Egg, casting Dragon Arcana summons a gigantic dragon. We do have Twin Dragon. So let's go ahead and give this a try. What's really nice is that I have 2 charges of Twin Dragon. That means I have 2 chances for the giant dragon, which is that, to come out. Very, very exciting. And it does, I think, 50 damage? That thing does a lot of damage, considering that the Twin Dragon itself only does like 6 or 7. We do have damage to afflicted enemy. Really not great out the box, but if we end up with other things like shock, it could be something strong. First Arcana shop has Flame Breath in it. Unfortunately, that is a signature that replaces the Lightning Twin Dragon. That thing I can cast twice. That's like 2 chances at the giant dragon head. No real reason to do worse. Instead, I'll be picking up Tearing Whirlwind, which happens to have 10% signature gain on it. You know already that Twin Dragon's signature is probably one of the best in the game. So let's go ahead and get some signature charge. It is counted as casting a Dragon Arcana, so we can still get the giant dragon head from doing it. Chaos Gate, once again with the stupid balls that I absolutely hate. When your signature Arcana is not charged, you do less damage, but you deal more when it is charged. And again, I really like to think that we already have maybe the best possible signature for this kit. Of course, if it's another dragon signature that has 2 charges, that's probably okay. But this one is really just a means to get out the giant dragon head until the signature's up, and then that thing does giga damage. From the relic shop, I'll pick up Tiny Spirit Charm. This gives the healing effects a chance to crit. I don't really know if this stacks with the critical amulet that I have on. If you look at your stat screen, it does show a global number if you happen to have just raw crit damage up, but it doesn't show things like what your healing crit rate is, so I really have no idea. The first elemental is the lightning elemental. As I've said multiple times, this is the hardest one in my opinion. I feel like this guy absolutely sucks to fight. It really depends on what moves he does. This one isn't too bad once you see it the first time. However, once he starts dashing around, it's really nasty. So somehow he's at half HP. I almost need to review the footage to see how in the world did he get chunked out like that. Oh, see, that's his worst move. All right, Dragon for the kill. Funny enough, that hits the boss before the actual Arcana does.
The flexibility, resilience, and speed you just demonstrated?
All right, get him out of here. What do we have for the variant? Savage Whirlwind, Inner Blizzard, Lifting Wind. I've actually never used any of these before. Inner Blizzard causes the blizzard to actually follow you as the player. Technically, with Tornado, that's not a bad idea, but I don't know if I want to commit to having Inner Blizzard. I might want to replace this with another dragon so we can utilize our relic more easily. Lifting Wind is the same thing as Tearing Whirlwind, except the end of it has a down slam that knocks the enemy upward. That doesn't seem to really hurt our build any, so let's go ahead and grab Lifting Wind. Ooh, we got Froggy. Let's go ahead and swap out the Blizzard, see if we can get something dragon related. There it is. Dragon Dive, bonus to bosses and bonus damage. You can roll both of those. And this does count as a dragon spell, so we should get giant heads off of this. Here's a real fight right here. There's instant dragon head. Confirmed works. All right, so keep in mind that when the dragon comes out, it does 50 damage by itself. Most of the time, nothing can really compete with that kind of number. Sometimes I see 25, and maybe the 25 is if the monster has armor, and it's like reduced damage dealt. However, there's a chance that the dragon can actually crit. Notice that I'm attacking the skeleton. This thing takes 88 damage. That's the most I've ever seen from like one single hit thus far in this run. It's gotta be a crit from the dragon head. And here's another great place to test Chaos Gate. This is Surgic's Tournament. This one's not too bad because I can deal with the caster very easily. Tornado actually makes you fully invulnerable, so all those projectiles get ignored. Once you deal with the golem, all I have to do is get it to do the slam, and then I can just do whatever I want after. Just be very careful about going into airborne stance, because this thing is not going to stop its attack. Alright, so with this thing dead, we get ourselves an Arcana Spark Array. That's actually a signature, so it's going to go onto my L2 button. Again, it's not nothing. It's not a dragon, so I don't care that much. Ooh, this is a new event.
Hey, could use a hand with this fight. You in?
Oh yeah, you know I'm in. Count me in.
Let's take him down.
So that's like another mini boss after the first one we just fought. I believe it lets me start off the fight. Let's do that, which looks pretty good. Yo, my buddy is... Okay, I was gonna say he's doing pretty good, but honestly, I think I do more damage. Increased critical chance of your standard Arcana. That's another 5%. I don't know if this affects the dragon head, but all of our standards, the dragon, the tornado, and the lightning orbs, that's all getting benefits from that. All right, here's our final two shops. We got healing, evasion chance, dash through the enemy, non-upgraded Arcana does more damage, and then lightning boots is another dash. For now, I'll take knuckle bones. This causes non-upgraded Arcana to do more damage. That means that our signature is gonna do more because I don't think I'm ever gonna upgrade that thing. In this circumstance, upgraded Arcana are things that have the different variant for it. Non-upgraded is something that does not. All right, boss time. This one, I really don't mind. My build is very different than the first one. I think that was a 88 dragon head. That's gotta be the critical, right? Oh, this is actually a really good fight for us. This thing is like so big, it should get hit by multiple instances of lightning orb at point blank range. Oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Oh, and then the reset on the poise break. I should have done that right away. We may have been able to kill it. That may have been the fastest first boss that I have ever done in this game. Hitless, by the way. Okay. So I think we do a lot of damage. And that's because we've layered so much extra damage on my signature's ultimate. Not the regular signature. In fact, my giant dragon head does more damage than the actual signature by itself. It's really just there to generate dragon heads and then do its ultimate. Instant Chaos Gate. Same mini boss fight with Surgic. Oh, wow. So see that damage there? We're getting invulnerability while we're doing the spin of Tornado, but when we land, we are not invulnerable. So that is very, very dangerous to do. The reward, Flame Ward. There is a little bit of fun factor where you could set down the ward and then do like your basic combat while you are letting the ward do all its damage. However, I think we're gonna skip that for now because I do genuinely enjoy the build we have already. As a reminder, make sure that you actually check to see if it has any extra stuff. This one has 10% crit, so it's less than Spark Array, and then minus 0% cooldown. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I don't think this does anything. It's certainly not instacast. All right, come on, give me a dragon. All right, there it is. Dragon Arc fills 15% signature charge on use. Damage to undamaged, I don't really care about. Like, it's a cool idea that you get to like cast the Dragon Arc as your first combat and then get bonus damage for it. However, it's highly likely that the giant dragon head hits first, as you saw just there. And I'm pretty sure the damage to undamaged target is gonna have 0 effect. Another really quick enhancement. We can boost up Dragon Circuit for bonus damage to bosses on top of everything else this thing's doing for damage. I think that's a very easy take. Ooh, this is the Mimic. I never get this. I even start off with my signature and it's already dead. Wow, good job me. Insight, Elixir of Might does bonus damage based on max health, I believe. At this point, we know the only thing, without debate, that's doing like extra damage is critical hit rate and critical damage increase. If those numbers show up, oh, and I guess bonus damage to bosses, then we know for a fact we're gonna be doing numbers. So instant poise break, instant half HP gone, instant reset on the poise break. She actually had no chance? Task completed, who's the boss? Is that beat a boss in under 5 seconds? I don't think so. I'm gonna assume it's for like no damage taken.
The snow melt brings the flood.
All right, enhance. Here we have Dragon Ride, 2 charges. So that's 2 chances to get a giant dragon from it. The only difference is this causes you to like go into melee range, kind of like that. Though we already saw we get a giant dragon head, so technically it's a DPS increase. Wow, the game even gives me one last Chaos Blessing. Melee Arcana does stuff. Casting fully charged Arcana now heals you. That would absolutely brick our build. Homing projectiles when you dash. Max HP gives you a pet. Crit chance up for everybody. That honestly will take it. So it's 10%. We can see here on our status screen, we have increased crit chance from our amulet, another 10% from the thing we just picked up, the feather. That's 20%. So there's another 5% crit chance in here that I'm a little unaware of. Maybe you have a base of 5%. So that would make some sense. If you haven't already realized, sorry if I didn't point this out earlier, but every critical hit is the orange number compared to the white numbers, which is base damage. Oh my god, I missed an enhancement crystal. This could be more boss damage or more signature gain. I'll take either one, actually. They're almost the same thing at this point. Look at that. Oh my god, the damage is so real. Damage to bosses on basic. Dragon Dive damage to bosses. Signature gain cooldown reduction on Tearing Whirlwind. Think I'll be taking that. Like, Tearing Whirlwind isn't as good as the Searing Whirlwind I had in the other run, However, it's still iframes. The other tornado did not give us iframes. The shop does not have a dragon in it, so I don't care. Though fracture on stone uppercut could be pretty interesting. All right, let's get into the boss. I think I've seen enough. Get my healing. And now we have Jabara. Now, last time we got this, we won based on fracture. This time we have big crits, so my hope is that we just blow her up before she gets... Ooh! Ow, that hurts. Before things like that happen. Okay. So we're almost at poise broken. There we go. I have my signature ready. Some good spin. Knock up. Whoa. Okay. I saw 100s in there. 170 damage on the dragon head. I didn't think those kind of numbers were possible. Remember, we were only getting 10% here and there. However, we got lots of instances of deal bonus damage to bosses, critical hit rate, critical damage. Even though we don't really have survivability like the other build had, there's really no healing in here at all. It's just raw damage dealt to the boss that will absolutely destroy it. And sometimes that's what it boils down to in a roguelike game. When we talk about getting good, sometimes the best way to get good is to just destroy all the opposition. So in this case, I've shown you 2 ways to make busted builds in Wizard of Legend 2. Lock down the monster, preventing them from playing the game while keeping yourself super healthy, or simply blow the monster up. Either one is going to work out for you, and if it does, leave a comment letting me know which build you think is your favorite. I do have some other Wizard of Legend videos that are showing on the screen right now. If you want to see some of these busted builds in action or more guides, take a look at those. Either way, like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you on the next video.